Good evening, Facebook. Skip Bayless coming to you live from the west side of Los Angeles, about a mile from the Fox studios, where tomorrow we won't be on Undisputed Live on Fox Sports 1, but we will be on Undisputed Live at 10 Eastern right here on Facebook Live. Shannon Sharp and I will do Undisputed on Facebook Live. I'm going to get you ready for Cowboys-Redskins here in just a moment. Sorry if I'm interrupting the LeBron game. Before I get to unleashing my thoughts on Dak Prescott, quick cameo from our quote-unquote daughter, Hazel. I'm kind of in a different spot here, so hang on. Hi, little Hazel. Whoa, she's getting heavy. Hi, Hazel. Oh, can you see? Hey, say hi to Facebook real quick. We got a game coming up. Hi, how are you? Hi, thank you. Oh, she's got to clean my nose, make sure it's clean for Facebook. Thank you. To my wife, Ernestine, that's our year and a month old Maltese, Hazel. And this is about Dak Prescott. I'm going to unleash and get this off my chest ahead of this game. We picked the game on Undisputed this morning, and this is no hunch. This is no big conviction. This is no gut feeling. I just, as a Cowboy fan, lifelong Cowboy fan since 1960, growing up in Oklahoma City, I just love the Dallas Cowboys. So just for no apparent reason, I'm going to pick the Cowboys tonight just because it's a rivalry. It's the Redskins. It's the best rivalry historically in pro football. Never been a big Kirk Cousins fan. He's 1-5 against the Dallas Cowboys. So I'm going to say right here, right now that I don't know. I can't explain how, why, who, what, when. I can't explain any of it. I just think Dallas will win 24-23 for no apparent reason. The last three games have been nightmares for me. I've gotten crushed, obviously, by Shannon Sharp and company on Undisputed. And we were going to be off tomorrow because our show is preempted by the World Cup show that's going to be on FS1 from, I'm not sure exactly what time it's going to be on, but it's going to knock us off at 6:30 Pacific, 9:30 Eastern time. We're not going to be on Fox Sports 1, so we decided to sort of sleep an extra half hour since we're going to be quote-unquote off, but we're still going to be in studio just putting our show up on Facebook Live. So my point is I'm going to subject myself highly potentially to more abuse because, Kirk Cousins should throw another party. He threw for 449 last Thanksgiving, as you remember, at Jerry World, but Dak was just a little bit better. Dak made the plays. Kirk made lots of throws. Dak went 4 for 4 in the red zone. Kirk Cousins went 2 for 5 in the red zone. That was the end of that game. The bottom line and the end of the game score was 31-26 Dallas. And once again, Dak just made plays. So I have been subjected over the last 3 weeks to the notion that Dak Prescott is somehow just a product, a go-along-for-the-ride product of Ezekiel Elliott, which is the biggest bunch of baloney I have ever heard. It is laughable, it is insulting, it is nauseating, and it's such an easy leap to an easy conclusion that is so absolutely wrong. So let's all get this straight, please. And I know there are a lot of Cowboy fans who I'm sure, bring back Tony Romo. I'm sure there's been a lot of overreaction. Jerry was right. Romo should have been the quarterback. Please come down out of the booth, Tony. Baloney, Tony. Baloney, Tony. Dak Prescott showed you for 16 games last year, which includes the playoff loss to the Green Bay Packers, in which he threw for 300-plus yards and 3 touchdowns and brought them back from 21-3 down all the way to 31 all. He showed you that he's a special quarterback, special player. I'm not going to say transcendent. I'm not going to say Tom Brady-esque. I'm sorry, I have said Tom Brady-esque, but I'm not going to say Tom Brady. I'm not going to say he's going to be historically great. I'm just saying that he proved he belongs in this league and in this starting lineup as the face of this franchise in those 13 games. But I heard from my partner, Shannon Sharp, flash in the pan, one-hit wonder, aberration, blip. And here we came into this year, and for the first 8 games, I thought he was even better than he was last year. So let's look at last year just to be clear on this. Zeke was there last year. Let's look quickly at the 2 Washington games. The first one was a turning point game of the year. Obviously, they had lost to Eli and company in the opener at Jerry World in Dak's first start in place of Tony Romo as a 4th-round raw rookie out of Mississippi State. out of more of a running offense, and all of a sudden he gets thrown into the Dallas offense in place of Romo. Cowboy Nation, please come back, Tony Romo. Please get well soon. Obviously hurt in the third preseason game at Seattle. And in the second game, turning point game, 0-1, what happened at Washington? Well, Kirk Cousins threw an interception into the end zone to Barry Church with about 10 minutes left in that game, and it could have iced the game, but it did not. And all of a sudden, it's 1st and 10 Dallas on its 20. And here's what happened with Ezekiel Elliott in that lineup. He goes -4 yards. Then he goes +4 yards. These are his carries in this last drive. Then he goes 0 yards, 1 yard, and 0 yards. I think that adds up to 5 carries for 0 yards in that last drive. And Dak Prescott was sensational. He was clutch. He was playmaker. Play after play after third down play after play. Boom, 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 down the field. 80 yards, touchdown. 27-23 Dallas. I just mentioned the second game on Thanksgiving. He just outplayed Kirk Cousins. QBR, my favorite stat, 0 to 100. His was much higher than Kirk Cousins, even though Kirk Cousins threw for 449 yards. There are a lot of empty calorie yards in there between the 20s, not in the red zone. Dak ruled the red zone. 4 for 4 went Dak Prescott in the red zone. And, of course, without Dez Bryant last year for 3 games, he went boom, boom, boom and won at San Francisco, at Lambeau, and beat the Cincinnati Bengals, who were riding high at the time with one of the better defenses in pro football, back at Jerry World. So he beat Aaron Rodgers at Lambeau without Dez Bryant. Zeke had a big game that game, but there were other games when Zeke was fairly quiet. And you can say there was threat of Zeke. I don't know. If you look at their rushing attack right now without Zeke the last 3 games, they've run the ball okay. So what's happened this year? Let's go back to the Arizona game. Pretty big turning point this year after that debacle in Denver where everybody played poorly. Sean Lee was in that game. I'm about to get to Sean Lee, but everybody just mailed it in. They thought they were a little too good for their own good, and they sauntered up to Denver and got it handed to them by a team that has completely collapsed and will miss the playoffs, as I predicted. Shannon Sharp picked the Giants to win the NFC East, but now he's riding the Philly bandwagon. He picked the Denver Broncos to win the AFC West, and now, I don't know. But he's riding the Pennsylvania bandwagon all the way up to Minnesota. And it looks like the Eagles could be Super Bowl bound because they're going to have 2 home games in Philadelphia to get to Minnesota, Minneapolis, where the Super Bowl will be played. But let's look at that Arizona game. What happened in that game? Zeke take that game over? He was there. He played okay. He got some yards later in that game. But who made the 3 big plays in that game? Remember Dak's 10-yard run, somersault in the end zone? Remember the 2 bombs to Bryce Butler? And can somebody please tell me where Bryce Butler is lately? Because they keep playing that number 88 over there. And again, I used to love Dez Bryant. I don't even know who he is anymore. He is a shadow of his former self. He has become a broken down liability, as Shannon Sharp, the Hall of Famer, continues to tell me on Undisputed. That's the one thing I do agree with. Dez Bryant, broken down liability. He couldn't get open on me. He's lost quickness. He's lost downfield speed. And if you look at downfield targets in this league for wide receivers, he is, 5 for 29 on deep passes. I think this is passes of 25 yards or more. 5 of 29 is dead last among all starting wide receivers in the National Football League. Okay, so Bryce Butler got 2 big throws in that game. Remember the rollout throw to Bryce Butler? Boom, boom. Who made the plays? A 3-play game, Monday Night Football. Remember that? At Arizona? Was Dak Prescott not sensational in that game? And then all of a sudden, Sean Lee pulls his hamstring. Stat for you. Just get this through your head, Shannon Sharp. Get this through your head that Sean Lee, in the lineup over the last 2 years, Dallas has been 18-4. Think about that. 18-4. Obviously, Dak was the starting quarterback in those games, but Sean Lee is the driving force of the defense, the sun around which the moons and all the planets circle. No Sean Lee this year. 5 times no Sean Lee. 0-5. No Sean Lee this year. second halves. Nobody wants to talk about this. The opposition has outscored Dallas with no Sean Lee on the field in the second halves, 114-22. Are you kidding me? That's historically bad. In fact, we looked it up. It's the third worst point differential in 5 games. I think it might even be over a 3-game period because the last 3 games have been 72-6. If you count Atlanta, Philadelphia, and obviously the Chargers on Thanksgiving, it's been 72-6 in the second half with no Sean Lee. You don't think he's a big deal to the defense? It was built around him. The quarterback, the signal caller, sort of the Tom Brady who can read the offense even before the ball is snapped, the way Brady reads the defense before the ball is snapped. And so without Sean Lee, remember, Zeke was there for 2 games. Help me out. What happened against the Rams? How about the Rams game at Jerry World? And what happened against the Packers at Jerry World? No Sean Lee, but had Zeke. What happened in both those games? He had okay games. Did Zeke? Okay games. Dak had great games. Big-time games. Pro Bowl quarterback type games. He had a pretty good QBR against the Rams. He led a couple of big second half drives against the Rams, but they got demolished on defense by the Rams, by Todd Gurley, who got loose on the little pitch and run yards after catch. If Sean Lee had been there, there's no way he gets loose on that. I'm sorry, he just doesn't. Sean Lee's all over that route. He might have caught the ball, but he would have gotten 6 or 7 yards, not whatever it ended up being, 60 yards, a touchdown. And then what happened against Aaron Rodgers? Once again, Dak Prescott outplayed Aaron Rodgers. That's 3 times he's outplayed Aaron Rodgers. You just look at the QBRs. He had a 96 QBR in that game, but he popped one little quick out to Terrence Williams. T-will was T-won't. Went right through his hands, hit him right in the hands. Pick 6 the other way. Not Dak Prescott's fault, and it did not register in the QBR, which was 96, which is, if memory serves, I think it was the best that day in the National Football League. So there's another game. They lost both those games, but Dak played well enough to win both those games. Didn't get any help from his defense, obviously, and not that much help from Ezekiel Elliott in those games. So then we get to Atlanta. There's no Ezekiel Elliott. And again, I think he's the best running back in football. Do they miss him? Well, sure, they miss him some, but that's not the reason that Dak got exposed. Baloney. He did not get exposed. What happened at Atlanta? Seriously, what happened? No Tyron Smith. Chaz Green was a disaster. And Adrian Claiborne, this is like Twilight Zone stuff. Adrian Claiborne, I didn't even know he was on the Falcons. I used to love him at Iowa. I campaigned on First Take before the draft. That would be a high pick for me. That'll be a steal. Tampa Bay, I thought, stole him. He had one good year, and then he sort of faded away. He got hurt, bounced around. Wait, he's with the Falcons? He wasn't even starting for the Falcons, but first time he got in the game, right by Chaz Green. He gets to Dak, blindside sack 6 times. Dak goes down 8 times. And after a while, you just get pounded into oblivion. You can't see it coming, and you get rocked. And at the end of the half, he finally lost a fumble. So let's just go back 3 games. Shannon Sharp tried to fight me on this, and he was just dead wrong today on Undisputed. Just 3 games ago, Dak Prescott was on an historic pace. He was number 1 all time in ratio of touchdowns generated, running and passing, to turnovers committed, obviously by interception or fumble. All-time best ratio in the history of pro football through however many games that was, going back 3 games. Last year plus this year. Historic pace. So then Adrian Claiborne just takes it out of his hand from his blind side at the end of the half, and then he gets rocked again in the second half as the game is about gone at that point. Didn't see it coming, so he fumbled twice. Did not throw an interception in that game. Then against Philadelphia, the game just, it's obviously Dallas was ahead by, 2 points at halftime? And then the defense just craters, and the interceptions he threw in that game were not his fault. One goes off Terrence Williams' hands, as I recall. Then another one, Dez didn't come back and fight for it. I don't even know who Dez Bryant is anymore, which brings me to the wide receivers, who all of a sudden, every wide receiver's having a worse year than last year. Everyone has tailed off. Cole Beasley, everybody figured out, oh, Des Bryant, we can just take our best cornerback, or really even our second best cornerback, and put over there single cover on Des Bryant, 88. We can just take him out of the game with one guy. And Jason Witten, Shannon Sharp says he could outrun Jason Witten. And so, is he a threat anymore? A real threat? No. So Cole Beasley, every defense they play just says, oh, we're going to double him every time. We're going to put bracket coverage on him in the middle. We'll just take him away from you. He had 58 catches at this time last year, did Cole Beasley. He has 28 right now. 28 catches. And if you look at yards per catch, every one of those four receivers down, except for Bryce Butler. Bryce Butler is averaging 21 yards a catch. He only has 13 catches. I've said this for 3 weeks. I would have started him ahead of Des Bryant, or I would have figured a way to put Bryce Butler on the field every play. He's just that good. He's as big as Des, and he's much faster than Des. Well, what are you doing? Well, Des makes all that money. Des is Jerry's quote-unquote son. So there's no way Jerry's going to sign off on benching Des Bryant. They're desperate. And then against the Chargers, Phillip Rivers threw for 434 yards, and it was just a 3-0 game at halftime, and then it was just devastation in the second half. And Phillip Rivers, the first 3 times they had the ball, he goes whoosh, 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 touchdown, touchdown, touchdown. It's just pathetic on defense. And now the offensive line is becoming a shambles. Zach Martin, I don't know what's going to happen tonight. I don't know exactly. It's all game time decisions here, but Zach Martin had a concussion, so he missed much of the Chargers game. Tyron Smith is still plagued by groin and back. Lyle Collins hasn't practiced all week, so even if he tries to play, he's not going to be himself. And I don't know what's happened to the rest. I don't know what's happened to the other guys. It's like Jonathan Cooper, who's bounced around the league. He's been like the most consistent offensive lineman. It is a shell of itself, that offensive line. So now Dak doesn't get protected. Dak's got a sorry bunch of receivers who are easily covered. Nobody can uncover, except for Bryce Butler, and he's never in there. And the defense is the worst in the league, obviously over a 3-game stretch. It's historically bad. So you're going to throw all that on the quarterback's doorstep? He has not played very well, but all of his mistakes have come in desperation. The only 2 bad plays he made were against the Chargers. And he threw a ball and hit Dez. This is a play in the fourth quarter that gets them back in the game, especially if they could go for 2 and make it. They could have made it a 1-score game. He throws it up for Dez in the end zone on Casey Hayward of Vanderbilt University, my school. And Casey Hayward's really good, and he played it very well. But the ball hit Dez Bryant in the hands past the goal line. And he just didn't catch it. He doesn't catch anything. I don't know how many balls he has either dropped or just not caught that he should have caught, that he used to catch for Romo, that he has just undone Dak Prescott on. And they've gone to him again and again. They threw him, what was it? Which game was it? 14. Was it? Yeah, against the Eagles. They went to him 14 times. It's just disastrous. It's just, it's just going to the well that's empty, and more empty. There's nothing left in the well. I'm sorry. I used to love him. Throw up the X. Now I just throw up. I'm sorry, but you can't condemn Dak Prescott. He's really good, and he has been good for a long time. He's got a big sample size. So tonight, is there pressure on him? Am I going to condemn him if they lose? They should lose. The offensive line is decimated. The defense is disastrous, and that's Jerry's fault. I campaigned for weeks. Go get Revis, and Kansas City went and got Revis. I don't know why Antonio Cromartie. I think he got Colin Kaepernick. Cromartie did, because he's been very outspoken. I think he got blackballed. I told him that on the air on Undisputed. So do I have much hope tonight? No. The Redskins should win this game. Do I think Dallas is going to win? I just do because I'm a fan. I'm just holding on for dear life. Just pride, guts, scrap, whatever all those cliches are. Just whatever fight you have left in you. I think they'll fight tonight. That's all I got. Sorry. But I'm going to hang in and hang on with Dak Prescott because I think he's really good. I think he's a Pro Bowl quarterback, and he will bounce back and be himself. And if you look back, Look at Andrew Luck. I think it's games 25 to 27. I saw this on ESPN.com. And Ben Roethlisberger, games 25 to 27. Both of them were terrible in that 3-game stretch right in there of their career. And here he's having his, but he doesn't have Zeke, and the line's falling apart, and he doesn't have Des Bryant. He really doesn't have anybody to throw to. Maybe occasionally Terrence Williams, but his yards per catch are down also. I don't know what's left except a little pride, a little dignity. That's about it. But we do have undisputed, and I'm going to remind you, I'm not going to do this after the game, but tomorrow, Shannon Sharp and I will tee it up and go head-to-head live right here on Facebook. Facebook Live. We're going to start a little bit later. We're going to start at 10 Eastern tomorrow to talk about this game, to debate this game. I'll probably get annihilated on the air, but I'm going to suck it up and do it on a day I should be quote-unquote off. I'm going to do it live on Facebook, and we will talk about this LeBron game. I've been watching it for a few minutes. They were down, and Ty Lue had just called a timeout. But we'll probably talk about that. We may talk about some other NFL topics. We'll probably go for, I'm not sure, like maybe an hour or a little more, uninterrupted, commercial-free. Join us at 10 Eastern tomorrow. Facebook Live, head-to-head. Me versus Shannon Sharp on Undisputed on Facebook. Here we go. Game on.